Greetings, gentlemen. So, this is OTR Ogre and Corgi, and we're going to record this at wonderful 240 because it takes next to nothing to load it up. And I'm going to talk about why I believe it would be recording every once in a while to go over this. Why I believe in not doing business with friends and family. I don't mind it. I wish some people can pull it off where they have the family that's really tight. I call it the Mexican Voltron, where everybody's got a different skill and they come together to form the Superbot, and they know how to work together, know how to treat each other. Like, each got their individual businesses so that each one can claim from one after another. It's actually pretty ingenious. But a lot of the reasons I don't like doing business with friends and family, and I'm going to go over a quick story on this, because you got to recognize how much your time is worth when it comes to doing business with people. And I'll go over this near the end. You know, like, a lot of drivers, you're probably making more than me. You're owner-operator, you're really killing it. But you got to break this tendency of, trying to bring it back to your people, which I'm not against that, but there's a certain problem with doing that. All right, so back in the day, I rented this land, lived out in the woods for 4.25 years. Buddy's dad had this land, so I rented it for $100 a month. It was out in the middle of nowhere. It was like 15 miles from town. And I built a yurt. I partially built that yurt because the dude was supposed to bring out the school bus. He had an old, broke down school bus, no engine or anything. He just never got off his ass to do it. And I got bored and just started building a conical lodge, started living out there. And it was good 4 years of my life. Paid him $100, so I was always, up on the rent. I didn't hardly make money back then. I was working cleaning a meat plant, like a little mom and pop place. And I rode the bus a lot of the time. But it was one of those gigs where, I didn't know any better. And that'll be another story for a day. Like, the time that I wasted in my 20s, I should have been out trucking. I should have been doing something else. But point of it is that I'd known this guy for years. And, he's a good dude. He was a master welder, but he was unorthodox as far as he wasn't a shop guy. Wasn't none of that. He had his junkyard. He had his mobile truck. He had his local stuff at his shop. And it was always a pain in the ass to fucking track down this dude, because it was like one of those gigs where he would be, he's at this bar or that place or this thing, and basically one of those guys that he would get with the Good Old Boy Network and start jawing in the morning about, anywhere from 8:39-ish to 10-ish. And then they make some plan or something like, oh, such and such has this old car or something. We'll go talk to him and see if we can, get the scrap or whatnot. Or hell, it might even be something he would turn back into something that was running. But he's that type of guy, Like, it was like basically Sanford and Son, like a little bit of everything. And so I was thinking I want to keep money within my own people, because I needed a project done. I wanted to build a motorcycle rack on the front of my GMC Value van. It was one of those gigs where the frame rails on a GMC Value van could easily support a motorcycle and then some. I could support a fucking way heavy shit. The rack that I ended up building was ridiculously overpowerful. Honestly, people usually go with that little skinny bitch design where it's like a single deal down the center pipe, and then they put like one thing. I just looked at that and thought, man, that looks cheesy. I don't want to put a motorcycle on the front of my fucking vehicle, and then I want it really strapped down. I want to feel really safe. And some guys are like, you don't really need to do that much. I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's on the front of my vehicle. The way I set this up is that it was 2 load racks from Walmart and then some metal, combining it together. And all I needed my buddy to do was basically cut the 2 holes in the bumper and then weld on the receivers. So then I could build everything else. I didn't have the equipment to do that type of shit. He did. And I spent a week or 2-3 weeks, basically, I lived up on top of the mountain. So driving this GMC Value van down the hill was like, 6 miles to the gallon. I'm not kidding. It was a vehicle of the 1980s. Big, heavy duty. It turned it into an apartment on wheels, what it did. But I get down there, and I finally run into this guy. And I'm like, hey, man, this is what I need. Can you do it? And he's like, oh, yeah, I can get to that sometime, blah, blah, blah. I'm busy today. And it's like, okay, I'm going to give this guy a little leeway. 2-3 days into it. And I I ride my motorcycle down this time, and I'm like, hey, this, you're gonna have time to do this. I'm trying to throw you money, man. I'm not trying to get it on a cheaper deal. I'm trying to keep the business in town. We've known each other for years. I'm not saying this, but this is it. I'd rather give my money to my own people than some outsiders. And he keeps on fucking around. And this goes on for a couple weeks. At this point, I'm fucking pissed. I'm just like, I got shit to do. And the time that I'm wasting here, I could be over there in, the Rocky Mountains helping my brother-in-law on something on a project. And not, it's not so much the making of the money. It's just, I don't like being dicked around. People show how much respect they have for you based on how they use your time. And they are using your time. If you could have had it done, but you don't have it done because you're trying to help out somebody else, that means they're fucking you around. They should either be like yes or no. This is a very guy-like thing. This isn't like women. They kind of try to keep a bunch of dudes on the back burner. There's a lot of lowball workers like that they're not going to say no. And sometimes a good business tactic is just to tell them, look, I'm loaded up. You might not even be loaded up. You just don't want to work on the project, but you just tell the people no. It'll take this many months before I have a deal. And I'm like, I looked at one guy when he told me that. I'm like, you're full of shit. You just don't want to work on it. He's like, well, I'm not kidding. I'm like, no, dude, I know the tactic. And he's like, well, yeah, look, that's going to be a lot of work. I got 3 or 4 projects that are going to be easier, that are quicker, easier money. I'm like, okay, just straight with me. And this is another mechanic I was dealing with, which is fine. That guy wanted to cut the situation off so he didn't have to deal with it. That I can respect, because at least it's a definitive fucking line in the sand. Not the small town, good old boy network type of shit. No, they always want to have a bunch of people on the back burner. Because that way, if emergency hits, I can go do this project and make some quick money. But you know what? The whole time that person was waiting for you to get off your ass, and this is something you see with contractors too. I have no tolerance for that shit. That's why you write into a contract, if it's not done by this time, you pay this much. And you give them a reasonable amount of time, but if they can't get it done because they're fucking around, they owe you money. And people are like, oh, that's so dick. No, it's not. The reason those type of things happen is because people will fucking fuck you around. They'll be like, well, I got this other gig I got to work on. I don't give a shit. My gig isn't finished. I can't rent out that house because you're fucking me around. So coming back to my dude bro friend, welder dude, eventually after 2-3 weeks, I was like, fuck it. I just started calling around. I called his own. I didn't want to go to his enemy. This other guy in town that, it's kind of an opposition between the two of them. But hey, he's a welder. And then I went to another place, because the first few places, they were busy. I went to a machine shop, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. It was, early 100 something. Cut into the bumper, cut the hole, then on both sides, and then weld on the receivers. Yep, and you know what? It was done in like 2-3 hours. We set up an appointment. I brought it there. I made sure I had cash to pay them. I got a receipt. Bada bing, bada boom. Shit got done. I didn't want to hand my money to somebody that was an outsider. They were still part of my town, but they were not part of my general circle. But you know what? Once I did that, shit got done. And dude, bro, I drove up to Coffee that day in the battle van, GMC value van. I needed the battle van because I was like, it's so fucking huge and all that. But it's like basically a UPS truck, except for, it's just GMC value van with the slider doors. Same basic thing. He's like, oh, I was going to get to that. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't. I said, nothing against you, man, but I waited for you for a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the world keeps turning. So, it doesn't matter either way. It's done. What's done is done. And he kind of had a shitty attitude about it. But, dude, you were fucking me around. That's the key thing. These people don't recognize how much your time is worth. Now, look, I don't own a truck currently. I work for a company. I make about $300 to $400 a day. And, it's like you take out taxes, so it's probably like $300. And for a guy that's just, no bills, no kids, no nothing, it's just profit. But every day that I was not getting shit done, I could have been making money. Now, maybe back then I didn't have anything huge going on. But the point of it is that you have to treat your life that way. And you have to eliminate bullshit people. Because, I mean, you can be friends with them. And I'm telling you, here's how you do it. You make them into party friends. You know, like, you're not going to go the extra mile for someone at a party. You know, like, you show up, you bring a case of beer, you hang out, you barbecue, and everything that you put into it, you're willing to lose. And so you know not to put in a lot into people. And so you have a good time, you do what you do, and you fucking move on with the day. But there's no expectation of that. Just, you know, like, hey, let's get together, go cut some firewood, or can you help me work on my brakes or something? You know, like, you know, reciprocity between people. You know, there's none of that. It's just we partied, we had a good time, we had our quick little conversations, and then see you when I see you. But then when it comes to doing business, you just do business with people that are in business to make money. And like, if you find someone good, because not everybody's shit, but if you find, say, a good mechanic, a guy who's solid, he's never fucked you around, he might charge a little bit more here and there, he gives you a deal, but he's not trying to fucking make his business out of fucking you. If you find good, solid people like that, you gotta protect them and you know, make sure they're doing well, treat them, everybody working together. But most of the time, with most of the people in your life, most people are just bullshit and excuses. See, I don't know. You got to go through and do some tests here and there to figure out who the fuck's real or not. If they go through and they take extra exorbitant amounts of times to get shit done, then they're fucking bullshit. And so, I don't know. I've rambled on this for a little while, but your time is money. And if you're listening to this, listen to it while you drive, man, because you can listen to something local. Anyways, I've said enough on the issue, so remember, your time is money.